This week's episode is brought to you by Jitter's Coffee House and Bookstore.
What's up YouTube? Forrest Proctor here with another episode of Bottom Up Film and Video, where today we're going to be talking about setting up your business legally and also the market of stock footage and how you can start making money with your extra footage from your projects or actually just going out and getting stock footage from scratch. As you can see, since the last time we've seen each other, I have upgraded on a few things. Got a new rolly office chair, so no longer using the stationary chair. It is now my teleprompter chair. You can't see that, but it's there. Just want to be honest about that. And I have this nice new 3-tier shelf that my father-in-law installed for me, which is awesome because my daughter's not getting into my stuff. Love her to death, but when you have a 2-year-old, it can be hard to keep them out of your equipment. So now, I have all my stuff kind of up high and it's making for a better workflow for me. Yeah, so let's get into the episode. Okay, so when you start a video business, it's very important to take the legal actions that you need to protect yourself and your personal assets. And if you're a single owner, the best way to do that is to form an LLC. So I'm going to walk you through a few steps to do that. You can either do that by yourself or there are a few different agencies and companies out there that will help you do it for a very low cost actually, and that's the route that I took. If you're a one and only sole member, you're probably going to want to set up an LLC, which can be pretty simple. There are a few ways you can do it. You can go to your local business representative office like City Hall or courthouse or something like that and get all the information on the forms, state forms you need and legal forms, fill those out, send them off to be approved, and that will cost you around $50 to $80 depending on what state you're in. Now you can take the route that I did, which was a time saver and money is time. I used a company called LegalZoom, and there are some other companies out there. I used a company called LegalZoom, and what they do is essentially get the information, fill in the blanks for you, and get it all taken care of depending on what state you're in. That costs between $200 and $300, and it depends on the package you do and the extra stuff that you add. Okay, one of the things that they're going to do for you, and if you're doing it yourself, you're definitely going to need, is a operating agreement. This is something that you're going to use throughout your company's career in different things like setting up a bank account and doing your taxes. Speaking of taxes, you're going to need a tax ID. Again, this is something that LegalZoom would do for you, so that's why I suggest using a company like that. It doesn't have to be LegalZoom. Otherwise, you're going to have to get all the tax forms and send them off, and it's actually probably going to take a little longer. It might save you a little bit of money, but it's going to take twice to 3 times as long. The tax ID number will essentially be your identification for your business whenever you're doing your taxes, which we'll get into in just a second. In terms of your taxes, I suggest getting some mentors, older business owners, maybe not even in your field, just people that you know and you trust that you can talk to about this kind of thing. I have a few mentors myself, and the biggest piece of advice that they have given me is do not get behind on your taxes. And that's something that I've taken very seriously, and you want to get with a local tax person and see what the rate would be for them to do your books every month. I started late this year, so I'm actually going to do the last quarter of the year, and then in January and February I'll start doing monthly, which helps you not get behind, because if you do it quarterly, that's fine if you can keep up with it, but it's going to be built up, it's going to be a lot more money to pay in. So monthly kind of, number one, it'll build discipline, and number two, it'll be less to pay in, and I think that's going to be good for me. It might be better for you to do it quarterly or even yearly, but then you're going to have this huge tax bill waiver that you're going to have to send in. So I'm going to do mine monthly, and to me that seems like the best thing. The last thing in terms of setting up your business and making sure you're protected is get some agreements written up on different projects. So I have a couple of different agreements. Some of them are for my associates that help me, the guys that come on as freelancers. I have contracts for just about every different job, like weddings and commercials. I have agreements in terms of people that are going to be in the videos so that I'm protected on that end. And these documents don't have to be necessarily drawn up by a lawyer. You might want to have them looked over by a legal official of some sort. I had actually a legal student look over mine, and as long as you have something, it's better than just going without anything. So you're going to want to have some kind of agreements, even if it's just something that you typed up and it has words of what's happening and what they're agreeing to, and they have their signature their printed name, the date, and like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect or totally lawyer written or certified, but to have something is way better than nothing. So definitely get your agreements and your contracts worked up before you start doing business. So once you've done all your information on LegalZoom and you've paid the fee and all that good stuff, they're going to send you a nice little white folder like this that has all the information you need in it, tax ID, operating agreement, lots of other cool stuff, lots of resources that you can use. You'll have to do a few things and send it back to confirm some information, but besides that, your business is pretty much ready to go. Now, I would suggest opening a bank account for your business, which for a lot of banks can be a really low charge. The bank I use charged me $100 to put into the account to get it started, but other than that, there's no fees. And for my type of business, I don't have more than 200 transactions a month. So there's no extra fees on top of that. Definitely shop around for your bank and make sure that you're going to be saving as much money as possible, because it can be hard in terms of keeping your overhead low, because you're by yourself, you're having to pay for gas, memory cards, I mean the list goes on and on, you already know that. So shop around for your bank and definitely get the lowest rate you can on that account. So throughout this YouTube channel, we're going to be talking about different revenue streams in the film and video world. And the one we're going to talk about today is stock footage. There are a few different ways to, number one, get stock footage, and number two, sell stock footage. I'm going to go through the steps of how I do it and how it has become a revenue stream for me to help support my art. Okay, first of all, you want to find a distributor. A lot of people use multiple distributors, and that's awesome. I think you should definitely do that. I'm currently just with one distributor because I've just started the stock footage game and I want to get my feet wet. And the distributor I'm using right now is called VideoBlocks, and they actually don't have a contributor subscription, so you don't have to pay per month to put your videos on there. It's actually free for you to put your videos on, and then you make straight profit. And there are some pluses to VideoBlocks that other distributors do not offer, and we'll talk about those when we get on their site in just a minute. Okay, if you want to go out and start getting some stock footage to sell, these are the three basic things you're going to need: an HD camera, a tripod, and a laptop computer. Now, if you're in filmmaking or video work, hopefully you already have those three things, so it should be super easy. And your camera doesn't have to be amazing, but it does have to be HD, 1080p, or 1920 by 1080, or 1080 by 720. The higher the better. Your footage is going to sell better because more people are going to be able to buy it based on what their projects need. Now, when you go out and get your footage, I suggest using a tripod because steady footage is about the only thing that sells. You can have moving shots, but if you're going to do moving shots, just make sure they look really good and professional, and try not to use any stabilization programs in post, because then it's going to bring down the resolution of your video. You're also going to want to have really interesting shots and things that you think people would be looking for. And actually, if you use VideoBlocks like I do, they send updates of what people are searching for that they don't have, which is a super cool tool. But another thing you're going to want is your videos need to be a substantial amount of time. So actually, VideoBlocks suggests between 10 and 30 seconds. I try to get as close to that 30 seconds as possible because it's not hard, and that's more footage for the consumer to use, and it gives them more incentive to buy my clips. Also, when getting stock footage, you're going to want to avoid brands being in it, names, and then people. Those are the three things I try to avoid, and I try to get really interesting shots and stuff that's really simple, like a faucet that's got dripping water. People will buy that, or a flag waving in the wind, or a train passing by. There's tons of stuff that you would never think of, and time lapses are a big seller. There's just lots of stuff you can do, so get creative with it. Now I'm going to take you through a step-by-step of how I go out, get the footage, come back, work with it in post, and then upload it to VideoBlocks. This is me going out and getting the stock footage. So what I'll do is take my tripod and my camera, and I'll just kind of walk downtown. And sometimes, you know, I'll go in the woods or something like that, but for this session I decided to go to downtown Laurel, Mississippi. On a Sunday, there's not a lot of people, not a lot of cars. It's pretty much just landscape, which is cool. So I'll set my camera up and find something really interesting that I might think could sell on the platform. And when I set my camera up, I like to get a few different angles of each one because those can be separate clips. If someone likes your clip, but they say, man, I really wish that was a close-up, you don't want that. You want to have the close-up. So definitely get different angles, different shots of each subject. It's a really good idea. Set your camera up, and I suggest leaving it for a minute because then you've got a lot to choose from. If like your tripod gets bumped or something, you know, you're not just going to lose that clip. You can always edit around that. In terms of coloring, I would sort of just go with what comes out of the camera because the person buying it's probably going to want to color it to match their project, and that's going to increase your chances to sell it as well. Okay, so my clips are in the computer and I have them all here. And I actually have one project for all my stock footage. You see that's some really nice birds. I actually never used that because it was a little shaky. I couldn't really get it. I couldn't get that in the moment. I'm also changing my ISO there, or my aperture I mean. So, you know, there's going to be tons of stuff that you like that you're not going to be able to use, but that's okay. That's the beauty. Oh, that's not stock footage at all. That's the beauty of stock footage. I never used these either. These were really cool boat shots. Let's see if I can play a little bit of one of those. Yeah, it was just too shaky, and you know, some of it you can use, some of it you can't. But let's get into the stuff that we did use. So recently, the one that you just saw me shooting was in this area. Okay, so that's actually a slow-mo shot. That's another thing that I think is a good seller. I see a lot of those on video blogs. Good thing to have and try out, you know. You can never have too many videos, in my opinion, because it's just going to up your chances to sell them. So here's what I was talking about in terms of having different angles. I know this is a really simple shot, but you never know what people are typing in. You know, they might need a red light for a movie. They just need that one moment where it's turning. This is actually a blinking red light, so I got 40 seconds or so of that, which is cool. I changed angles and got a little closer and put it in the other third. Rule of thirds, guys. Definitely study up on that. It's going to help you. Composition is pretty much number one. And so you can see how I do that. And for video blocks and stuff, they're going to want MP4s or MOVs. Now I prefer to do an MOV because it just looks better to me. I know they're really similar files, but for some reason MOV just seems better. It's a bigger file and I trust it more in terms of keeping all the data. And a lot of times your MOV codec would be a lossless form, which means, you know, it's the closest thing than what's coming into the camera. So, and I don't color these, like I said. I'm going to show you how I use Adobe to bounce one. I will actually cue these, so I'll come over and see I have that clip now selected in there, and then go to File, Export Media. It's really simple. Just click that, choose your output. You know, you'll have a folder called stock footage. QuickTime is a movie file. I have a preset, but you'll probably want this to just be 1080p NTSC. Anyway, so my codec is H.264, and instead of just exporting that, I'll queue it, which will send it over here to Adobe Media Encoder, and then I can just, once I queue it, I can get out of that and do the next one, and so on and so forth. That way, when I come over here to the encoder, I can just press play, and all 40 or 20 or 5 will start working, and I can actually still use this program. This isn't going to be taken up by you know, stuff bouncing out. I can still use it on other stuff, and that's a good way to manage your time. I would suggest using Adobe because you can integrate all of these programs, and it's super convenient and super helpful. But anyway, that's how we do the stock footage in post. Then what we're going to do is come over here. You're going to have to make an account on Video Blocks. I'm not going to go through that because we all know how to make accounts on platforms. So make yourself an account, then come over here into the ready to tag. You're going to upload the media here. It'll upload, you'll add tags to it, description, stuff like that. It'll get put in this. I don't have anything here right now. pending approval, and then once it's approved, if it's approved, it'll be put in here, and you can actually put your cursor over that and preview it, which I think is super cool. But I'm kind of a nerd, so yeah, and these are all approved, and they've got tags. You really want to be specific with your tags, and you can never have too many. Just about you want it to be searchable and findable, and your SEO needs to be really good. So make sure you title it appropriately, tag it appropriately, and yeah, once you get these uploaded, guys, I mean, that's pretty much it. Just leave it, and you can actually go up here to finance to see how many you're selling per month, but they'll send you an email. That's a super convenient account. That's where you're going to do all your tax stuff, and they'll issue payment, I think, at the end of every month. Submission requirements is where you can read about, you know, what your files need to be, what sells, and things like that. And then frequently asked questions, you know what that is. So that's pretty much it, guys. And there's tons of other places you can sell your footage, and I definitely suggest getting on the multiple platforms. I just happen to be on this one right now because I'm new into the game. But for those who think it's like an expensive thing, VideoBlocks, the founder, he made it super cool, easy, and efficient to get contributors involved. And yeah, it's super cool and easy, and telling you, it's a no-brainer. You've got to get on VideoBlocks. Okay, guys, so that completes episode 2 of Bottom Up Film and Video, and we'll see you next Friday. Appreciate it.